At this time you cannot. Is there anybody on the Pent Bomb team I'd be able to speak with?
Directly at this time.
Not at this time?
No, the most I can do is just take your information.
Take my information?
Sure.
And then what, someone will get back to me, or?
They'll review.
Pardon me?
They will review it.
Okay, because we've been leaving messages since last Wednesday for someone to get back to us, and no one's got back yet.
Okay, who's we?
This is myself and the various pilots that have came together to analyze this information.
Okay.
And they are now calling themselves Pilots for 9/11 Truth.
So that's what happens when you phone up the authorities who made this data and ask them for a very simple explanation. They refuse categorically in any way, shape or form to comment, even that they are aware there are inconsistencies. They won't tell you anything. Now, if I was a policeman and I arrived at your door tomorrow and said there'd been a robbery next door and asked where you were yesterday, if you were inside watching the football match, would you say to him, I'm not telling you where I was yesterday? And then the next time he came to your door, would you say, I was on holiday? And then the next time they come to your door, say, I was at the pub next door. Now, if you're the policeman and you're interviewing a witness who refuses to tell you anything about what they were doing, and then does give you statements, all of which do not match up with each other, in law enforcement terms, you have a suspect. Because most people, unless they have a reason to, genuinely do not lie. Now, I know the US has a policy of secrecy when it comes to things like this, but we have told them that their telephone calls have been taped and they're on the internet and they've had tens of thousands of views. We've told them we're doing public talks as we speak in the UK, in Europe and in the States about this, with your recorded telephone conversations refusing to comment. And we've told them about the controversy it's causing, and it makes no difference. So I leave it up to you to decide as to why it might be they are so terrified of making any comment about this data. Now, I'm running quite short of time here, so I've only got about 5 minutes to go. And
please make it very quick.
Okay. Now, this is Norman Mineta, who was the United States Transportation Secretary at the time. And for a long time, it was said that they had no idea the plane was heading towards the Pentagon. And this explains why a $500 billion a year military was completely unable to intercept a lumbering airliner heading towards the world's most heavily protected building after both World Trade Centers had already been hit. They knew it was a terrorist attack, they knew it involved airliners. It turns out they knew exactly where the plane was going, as Mr. Mineta.
During the time that the airplane coming in to the Pentagon, there was a young man who would come in and say to the vice president, the plane is 50 miles out, the plane is 30 miles out. And when it got down to the plane is 10 miles out, the young man also said to the vice president, do the orders still stand? And the vice president turned and whipped his neck around and said, of course the orders still stand. Have you heard anything to the contrary? Well, at the time I didn't know what all that meant. And
the flight you're referring to is the
flight that came into the Pentagon.
Now, neither the Vice President of the United States nor Norman Mineta were ever asked to clarify what those orders were that the Vice President had said were still in operation. He was never asked by the 9/11 Commission what those orders were. Some people have speculated that the orders may in fact have been not to shoot the aircraft down. We don't know. That's pure speculation. But it's interesting to note it has never been asked of either of them to clarify in that position. So that brings me to the end of my talk, which I hope you've enjoyed and found some new interesting questions to think about.